there, my name is Kelly Dale and I'm owner of Off the Beaten Path, which is located in Forest City, North Carolina. For today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a casual version of a necklace to go with last week's bracelet video. Now you're pretty much going to need the same materials as you did last week. You're going to need 48 4mm bicones or rounds, whatever color you want to use for the center of your flower. You're going to need some 4mm rounds or bicones to go for the outside of the flower. You're going to need some size 11 seed beads and about a whole tube, a 22-gram tube of a size 8 seed bead. This is a pattern that's going to take a lot of thread. You're probably going to use 6 yards or more for the thread, depending on how much you're going to go back and reinforce. So you want to start out with just cutting enough that you feel comfortable dealing with, because you will have to add on thread throughout the project. I'm going to be using a size 10 beading needle. You won't need a clasp because this is just a casual necklace that will slip over your head. Now next week, the one that I'm going to show you is a much more fancier, dressier version for the bracelet from last week. So you'll have 2 different options there. But go ahead and get your materials together and we'll get started. Alright, so here's the casual necklace that I'm going to teach you how to do today. It has 4 flowers on each side and then seed beads around the back and the center. So as you can see, just very casual, very fun to wear for the summer, not very dressy. But it is about 36 to 40 inches long. So you can make it longer if you want to, shorter, whatever. But you can see we're going to have the same kind of component as we did for the bracelet. So to get started, I've threaded my needle onto a pretty good length of thread. And I'm going to be using, let me see if I can show you here. I'm going to be doing my flowers in 4 different colors. I'm going to be using a 4mm rose, 4mm aqua, 4mm peridot, and 4mm violet. So that way it'll be good for anything for the spring or summer. Now I'm also going to be using some 4mm just crystal AB glass rounds. So that way it'll be very neutral to wear and use. So the first thing that you're going to start out is you're going to start out with your first color, and as you know, it has 6 beads in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and count out my 6 beads here and put those to the side, and then get my camera back here so I can show you what we're going to do. I'm going to start out by picking up 1 size 11, 1A, 3B, and 1A. I'm going to take my beads and I'm going to let them drop down and just leave a short tail. I'm going to go ahead and tie the tail and the working thread together in a couple of really good knots. Alright, and I'm going to go through the size 11 and the A right next to where my thread is exiting. I'm going to pick up a B and A and a size 11. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come back up through the same A that I'm currently exiting to make a circle. To get into position for the next step, I'm going to go ahead and go through the 4mm round, which is my B, and my 4mm bicone, which is my A. Pick up 111, 1A, and 1B. I'm going to come back around through the same A that I'm coming out of to make my circle. Then I'm going to go through the size 11 and the A that I just added. Pick up 3B, 1A, and 111. I'm going to come back up through the same A that I'm coming out of to make my circle. And to get into position for the next little part, I'm going to go through the 3B and the A that I just added. And as you notice, I keep my finger on the beads that I'm coming through, and the reason I do this is just to keep my work tight. I'm going to pick up an 11, an A, and a B. I'm going to come back down through the same A that I'm coming out of to make my circle. I'm going to go through the 11 and the A that I just added. Now at this point, I got to finish the outside here. So I'm going to pick up 1B, and I'm going to go down through this first A that I added. I don't know, there we go. And to finish out the center, I'm going to pick up one size 11 seed bead, and I'm going to come up through the last A that I threaded on. So I came down through the first A, and now I'm going up through the last A. So that this is what your component should look like so far. I'm going to go down through the B right where my thread's coming out. Pick up 111 and go through the next 3 B's, so 1, 2, 3. Pick up an 11, go down through the next B, pick up 1B and go through the next B, pick up 111 and go through the next 3 B's, pick up 111, go through the next B, and now pick up 1B and go through the next B. So that now you have your diamond shape. I'm going to go right up through the A, right where my thread is exiting. And I'm going to go through these 6 seed beads here in the center to kind of straighten up the center of my circle now. And once you've gone through it, you want to exit out of this top B up here. So I'm going to go through the A, and then through 2 B's here at the top, just like last week. So that you have your component complete, and if the tail keeps getting in your way, you can go ahead and snip that little tail there and be done with that. And now you're ready to add the seed beads between this component and the next component. So you want to take your needle and you want to pick up 30 size 8 seed beads. Okay. So you should have 30. Pick up 1 4mm round and then 3 more size 8 seed beads. You want to skip the last 3 size 8s that you put on. See, I still got my beads up here and I'm holding them in my hand. I'm going to skip these last 3 and I'm going to go back up towards my first component, and you want to go all the way but leave 3 beads here on the end, so that when you pull this, and you see I'm holding my beads so they don't get away from me here, your other end is going to make a little A shape or V shape, and that's exactly what you want it to do. So just continue on through your beads and just be sure to leave 3 on the end. Now, pick up 3 size 8s. You originally started coming out of this side, so you want to come back through that 4mm to finish out the V shape that we're going to make. So that now you've got your V shape here attached to the first one. You have your 30 seed beads, and then you have your 4mm here on the end, and this is going to make our second component. So just take your needle, stitch back right up through your beads, and then through the 4mm there on the end. Now, this is what I was talking about, how you're going to use a lot of thread for this project, because if I'm just making this for myself, I don't feel a need to have to go back and reinforce that again. But if you're going to make these to sell, I might suggest that you go back through and reinforce these connections a second time, just so that you've got a really good tight connection between the 2 components. But it's completely up to you. So now I'm ready to start my second component, and I'm going to be using my aqua this time. And again, I'm going to go ahead and count out my 6 beads. I'm going to pick up 1 B, 1 A, 1 size 11, 1 A, and 1 B. My thread is coming out away from myself, so I'm going to take my needle and just go right through, back through the bead to make my circle. And the good thing about this project is you can turn the thread when you first start it. You can turn the thread and work however you're comfortable. It's completely up to you. Now to get into position, I'm going to go through the B, A, 11, and A. Now, like I said, whatever way you're most comfortable with is the way that I would work. So I'm just used to making these little components the same way. So I'll show you again how to make the component. One more time. So my thread is coming out of an A. So I'm going to pick up a B, an A, and an 11. I'm going to come back up through the A to make my circle. Go through the B and the A to get into position. If you get it a little loose there, just go back and make sure to tighten up what you got. There we go. Alright, I'm coming out of the A, so I'm going to pick up an 11, an A, and a B. I'm going to come back around to make my circle. And I'm going to go through the 11, go through the 11 and the A that I just added. Pick up 3B, one A, and one 11. Come back up to the same A that I'm coming out of to make my circle. To get into position for the next one, I'm going to go through the 3B and the A that I just added. I'm going to pick up an 11, an A, and a B. I'm going to come back down through the same A that I'm exiting to make my circle. I'm going to go up through the 11 and the A that I just added. Pick up one B and come down through the first A that I added. And pick up one 11 and go through the last A that I added. So here's my component. Come down through the B right below where my thread is exiting. Pick up one 11 and go through the 3 B's here on the end. Pick up an 11 and go through the next B. I'm picking up a B. I'm going to go through the next B. Pick up an 11. Go through the next 3B here. Pick up an 11, go through the next B, and then pick up a B and go through the next B. Alrighty. Now, needle is coming out here, so I'm going to come up through the A, right where my thread's coming out. I'm going to go through all 6 seed beads here in the center. Then I'll go through the seed bead, the A, and then through my 2 B's here on the end. So 1, 2. So that now you have 2 components here, and you're going to add your 30 and your 4mm again to add 2 more components so that you'll have a total of 4 on this side. Alright, once you complete the last 2 components, then you'll have 4 components. Coming out of the last or the end B here, you want to pick up 124 size 8 seed beads. This is going to be the front of the necklace, so you want 124 size 8 seed beads, 1 B, and then 3 size 8s. And just like we did on all the other connections, you want to take and skip the last 3 seed beads you threaded on, and then go all the way back to your last component, being sure to leave 3 seed beads to go through there on the end. So you'll go all the way back, add your 3, come back around, and then go all the way back to your 4mm round. Now, once you get there, you're going to repeat and do your 4 components. When you do your 4 components, remember to start with the color you finish. So I'll start with purple, then I'll do green, then blue, then pink. So, and however, you know, you can do them all the same color, whatever. But that's how you get to the other side. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys really quick. I'm coming back up through my seed beads and I'm running out of thread, so I'm going to go ahead and add on thread before I start the next component. So to do that, I'm going to take my new thread and my old thread. I'm going to put them together and then I'm going to make a knot. Just like that. And now before I finish it, I'm going to take the 2 end pieces, 2 little tiny tails here, and I'm going to tie those together. So that way my knot won't slip out at all. And as I stitch, I'm just going to stitch and leave these tails that I have, I'm going to leave those inside the beadwork. And if any stick out, you know, then I'll trim it, but normally I'll just leave those inside of the beadwork. So that's how you add on thread, and then you'll just keep on going with your piece. Alright, so I finished the last component for this side. I've added 124 of the size 8 seed beads. So I'm going to come through the end B here on the very first component that I started with. pick up 3 seed beads. I'm going to skip 3 here, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to start working my way back to the other side. And you want to make sure there's no slack in your thread. You're just going to start working that needle back to the other side again, keeping it nice and tight as you work. Whoops. There we go. Alright, when you get to the other end, this is the last component that you did, be sure and leave 3 seed beads. Take and pick up 3 size 8s and come back through the B the other way so that it'll make your V shape around the bead. So technically now you're finished with the necklace. You have the back, your 8 components, and then you have the front. So what you'll want to do is thread through your beads and tie the tail off with a couple of half hitch knots and then trim your tail. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this casual necklace that goes with last week's video. I do want to show you a couple of differences that you'll see when you actually start making one of these. This was the very first sample that I made, and I don't know if you can see it really well, but these seed beads have more of a square shape. The seed beads that I use today have more of a round shape. So with that being said, the square shape takes up more room. So if I hold up my first component on the first necklace and the first component on the second necklace, you can see that by the time I get down to the 4th component here, that the round beads, it's going to take more seed beads to get it to the length that you need it actually for the square or the more square shaped seed beads. So this one that I made today is probably about 2.5 inches shorter than the first one I made with the more square seed beads. So be aware of that. If you want it longer, you can add more seed beads here actually in between the components, or add them here between the last, the last and the first component till you reach the length that you want. But this is just a very simple necklace to go with last week's video. Now, if you want to get the pattern or a kit, we do have those available on our Etsy site, so you can check those out. And come back next week when I'm going to show you how to make a more fancy, dressier version for this necklace. Bye!